Hello student. So let's see the cranial nerves. So there are 12 pairs of the cranial nerves are present, and out of these the first two cranial nerves they are originate from the forebrain, and remaining 10 pairs they are originate from the brain stem. So sequence wise the name of that the cranial nerves, that is the olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducent, facial, vestibulocochlear or auditory, then glossopharyngeal, vagus, spinal accessory, and the hypoglossal. Then the functional component of the cranial nerves. So the cranial nerves which consist of the motor nerve fibers, so that is called the motor nerve, and the nerve which consists of the sensory nerve fiber, that is called the sensory nerve, and the nerve which consists of both sensory and the motor nerve fibers, so that type of nerve it is called the mixed type of nerve. Let's see the types of motor fibers of the cranial nerves. So they are of three types. First, that is the somatic efferent, or that is called the general somatic efferent fibers. So they supply the fibers to the striated muscle which develop from the somites. Then second one, the special visceral efferent fibers. So they supply to the muscles which develop from the mesoderm of the pharyngeal arches. And the third one, the general visceral efferent fibers. So they supply to the glands, smooth muscles of viscera and the blood vessels. So after then the sensory fibers of the cranial nerves. So they are of four types. That is, first, the general somatic efferent fibers. So they carry the sensation of touch, temperature, pain and pressure from the skin and the proprioceptive sensation from the muscle, joints and the tendons. Then the second one, the general visceral afferent fibers. So they carry the sensation of the distension and ischemic pain from the viscera. Then the third one, special visceral afferent fibers. So they carry special sensation taste from the tongue. And the fourth one, that is the special somatic afferent fibers, which carry the special sensation of the smell, hearing and the balancing of the body. So let's see the details of the 12 cranial nerves. So the first cranial nerve, that is the olfactory nerve. So this one. So the olfactory nerve, it is purely sensory nerve and it carries the sense of smell from nasal cavity to that the cerebral cortex. Then the features of the olfactory nerve, that is the primary sensory neuron of the olfactory nerve, that should be lie on the body surface of the epithelium of the nasal mucosa. So you know, into the nasal mucosa there are the olfactory mucosa is present in the upper part of the nose. So here, that is the fibers of the olfactory nerve, it should be spread. So see in the another diagram. So here, that is the nose upper part, and here that is the olfactory mucosa is present, where that is the small fibers of the olfactory nerve that should be spread into that the mucous membrane. Then the functional components of the olfactory nerve. So special somatic efferent fibers carry special sensation of the smell from this olfactory region to the nasal cavity and terminate into that the olfactory bulb. So here you can see that the bulbular structure, that is called the olfactory bulb. Then course, relations and the distribution. So the olfactory nerve consists of about 20 minute bundles of non-myelinated nerve fibers. So here, this one, they arises from the primary receptor neuron of the olfactory epithelium of the nasal cavity. So this one passes through the foramina in the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. So here, that is the small foramines are present, that is called the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Through it is enters into the anterior cranial fossa, where it terminates into that the olfactory bulb. So here you can see the olfactory bulb. In the olfactory bulb, they synapse with the mitral cells. Then the bundle of olfactory nerves are surrounded by three meninges, that is the pia mater, arachnoid and the dura mater, near to the cribriform plate. These provide a potential communication between the subarachnoid space and lymphatics of the nasal mucosa. So, the infection from the nose can spread into the meninges of the brain. So, the olfactory bulb, it should be forming, that is the olfactory tract, and this tract reaches to the primary olfactory areas of the cerebral cortex. Then the primary olfactory area of the cerebral cortex go to the secondary olfactory cortex, which is located in the uncus and anterior part of the parahippocampal gyrus. The smell pursues in both primary and secondary olfactory areas. After then, that is the clinical application related with the olfactory nerve. So first, that is the anosmia. So anosmia, it is the loss of sense of the smell, can occur number of reasons such as atrophic rhinitis. In this, that is the degenerative changes should be occur into that the nasal mucosa. Then the fracture of anterior cranial fossa, and the fracture is associated with the blood vessels. So that can be occurs the symptoms or the disease called the anosmia. Then second clinical application, that is the clinical testing of the olfactory nerves. So it can be tested clinically by asking patient to smell common odors such as a peppermint, garlic or the cloves from each side of the nostrils of the nose. So these are the clinical points related with the olfactory nerve. Then next to it, the optic nerve. So it is the second cranial nerve and it is purely sensory and responsible for the vision. So that nerve, it is called the nerve of sight. Then the features of the optic nerve. So optic nerve, it is not the true peripheral cranial nerve, but it is actually tract of the brain for the develop as a outgrowth of diencephalon. So it shows some features, that is it consists of the second order sensory neuron. Its fiber are myelinated, it surrounded by the meninges, and the fibers cannot be regenerate if cut or damaged. So that is the features of the optic nerve. Then the functional component. So it carries the sense of sight from the visual field to the corresponding eye. Then course and the relations. So the fibers of the optic nerve that should be arises into that the retina of that the eyeball, and from that the retina it should be comes out from the choroid and the sclera of the eyeball, and it should be leaves from the eyeball to form that is the optic nerve. So here you can see. So it should be enters into that the this optic nerve, it should be enters into that the orbit and the orbital canal, and then it should be enter into that the middle cranial fossa. So here it should be forming that the crossing fibers of the structure, it is called the optic chiasma. So here you can see that is the optic chiasma. So in the optic chiasma, that is the medial side of the eyeball fibers, they should be crosses with each other. So here you can see that is the violet color fiber which is present on the medial side of the retina of eyeball, they should be crosses with each other. And the lateral fibers of the retina of the eyeball, they should be converge on the same side of the optic tract. So here you can see. Okay, then it is the optic chiasma or the optic tract. So it should be forming that the optic tract, and the nerve fibers coming out from that is the optic tract, it should be firstly enter into the lateral geniculate body. So here you can see the lateral geniculate body on both sides. So from the lateral geniculate body that should be forming the tract, it is called the optic radiation. So this one. So it should be present in the internal capsule. This one. And then it should be enters into the visual area of the occipital region of the cerebral cortex or the brain. So here that is the fiber, they should be comes, and then that should be enters into that the visual area where that is the image or the knowledge of the image present in front of the eyeball. So that should be nodes. After then the some fibers of this region. So here you can see that is the some fibers of this region that should be reaches to the pretectal area of the midbrain. So here you can see that is the pretectal area, this one, or the pretectal nucleus into that the midbrain, and then it should be forming the visual reflexes pathway. So here in the another diagram you can see this one. Here that is the fibers, it should be forming that the optic tract, this is the optic chiasma, then it should be forming the optic tract, then it should be forming that is goes backwards and ends into that is the visual area present into that the occipital lobe. But the some fiber that should be enters into that the pretectal area of the midbrain, where it forming that the light reflexes pathway. So here you can see that should be goes into that the first ciliary ganglion, and then it should be forming that is the right reflex area of the eyeball. So that is the pathway of the optic nerve, that is starts from the retina of the eyeball, then that is the optic nerve, then it should be forming that is the optic tract, then it is enters into the lateral geniculate body, and then forming the optic radiation, and then the visual cortex. So here same you can see that is it should be starts from the retina, then the optic nerve, then the optic chiasma, then that is the optic tract, then here the lateral geniculate body, then that is the optic radiation, and ends into the visual area of the occipital lobe of the cerebrum. So then the length of that is the optic nerve, it is near about 4 centimeter, and it is divided into the 3 parts. First that is the intraorbital part. So here this one. Second one that is the canalicular part. So this one. And the third part it is the intracranial part. So here into that the cranium that should be enters. Then let's see that is the clinical application related with that the optic nerve. So first, ipsilateral total blindness. So it may be occur due to damage of the optic nerve, and as you know there is no regeneration when the cut or the damage of the optic nerve that should be occurs. So that is the optic atrophy of that the nerve, it should be occurs, and because of it leads to ipsilateral total blindness, that is called the anopia, and that may be also occurs due to the blockage of the central artery of the retina. Then the next clinical point that is the papilloedema. So that is the central vein which is supply blood to that the retina of the eyeball. It is enclosed by the meninges of anterior part of the optic nerve, and which is surrounded by the CSF. If the CSF pressure is increases, that should be affected on the optic disc which is present into that the retina of the eyeball, and because of it results in the swelling of the optic disc, forming the edema called the papilloedema, and it is a valuable clinical evidence of increased intracranial pressure. Then the third clinical point, that is the clinical testing of the optic nerve. So optic nerve, it should be tested clinically by performing the test for visual acuity, color perception and the loss of vision into that the different fields of the eyeball.